What's going on, everybody? We're back once again with Wrestling Off the Air, brought to you by Wrestling Republic. I've got Shad and Dryzzy with me. It's Tuesday night. We are fresh off of NXT. Heat Wave last week, this week, the heels of Heat Wave setting up for No Mercy. It was fun top to bottom. I thought another quality NXT show. We had a lot of pro wrestling this weekend and have a lot more coming up, but this one squeezed right in the middle of it, and the timing I thought was fine. We saw some really high quality wrestling and storylines advanced kind of across the board, right?
Yep.
I don't know what you guys think, but let's jump right into the Dyad versus the Creeds inside of the steel cage. And I'm going to toss it straight to you, Drizzy. How did you like this one? The Creeds are back in NXT.
I think this is a great cage match. Actually, I don't know what it is, but they felt a way to be unique from a thing that's been going on since the beginning of wrestling. The cage match has been used since day one. They ripped the door off the hinges, like they did so many creative things that I've never seen done in cage matches, and I applaud them for it. They made a old timey thing just something new and fresh and young, and I love it.
I really, I agree. Cage matches, I feel like these days are hard to do, right? Because we've just seen it so many times. And to your point, the creativity of ripping the door off and those spots, running across the cage and slamming, using the door as a weapon. I enjoyed that as much as anything myself, and thought that added to the match for sure. Shot, I know you and I were watching the match a little bit before this show, during the actual show. And we talked about how the beginning was a little bit like a handicap match,
Hmm.
and whether that was the exact right amount of time for that or not. What did you think about that?
I mean, yeah, I thought it was kind of a little bit of a swerve within the match where you have the entire what is it, the schism, the outside schism, the mask members coming out and kind of taking away one member of the Creed brothers and kind of making it, with man, I'm slipping on his name. um
Brutus. It was Brutus. No, Julius.
no, no, Brutus, Joe Gacy. I'm sorry. Wow.
Oh,
Joe
Joe
Gacy.
Gacy, Joe Gacy locking the door and kind of having, Julius going against both of the members of the dyad. Uh, I thought it was good in the sense where it had good psychology in regards to a numbers game. It makes, the entire faction of the schism look kind of strong, including all the, additional members of it and kind of just what the group means within itself. And I thought it made Julius Creed look strong too. I mean, he was holding his own in a sense against two competitors by himself. I think it did drag on a little long. Obviously, you want to kind of build up to Brutus coming in, but it took a little long for my liking personally. But Brutus coming in and fighting off the rest of the members and ripping off the door from the hinges of the cage. I love that spot. I thought that spot was like really cool, very unique. It makes him look, strong as he is. And yeah, once he came through, they start having a very good match. You saw the dynamic of the Creed brothers, and the ending was strong too, where they were able to kind of get that double Brutus bomb set up. So finish the match. They're coming back to NXT. I haven't personally loved the build up for this feud a whole lot. I think it's kind of been a little inconsistent in ways, but the match is always going to be good. I mean, these are two great tag teams, and I'm excited to see what we have looking forward for both of them.
Definitely. And that Brutus ball, like the cannonball centonish flying through the air spot, is pretty dang impressive. To your
And
point.
we gotta talk about Julius holding
Being
two
able,
men
both of
on
them
his
on himself.
shoulders,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
toppling over anything. Two men on his shoulders.
yeah. Julius Creed is the MVP going out of this entire match. I mean, he looked super strong and as he already is, and I've raved about him a lot prior to even being on this show. Like I feel like the kid has the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's someone that could become a future champion in the singles division, and both of them boys could be tag team champs on the main roster
I just wish
within a
you go to Duke.
matter of. Come on,
Why do you have to
man.
go to Duke? This is the one mistake.
You go where you get accepted, man. Let them
No, I know. I
young
just
guys get that scholarship money.
if you got into Duke, he could go somewhere else.
He go to
But
Minnesota. Go to
Yeah,
Minnesota.
you could have gone to
everyone goes to
It
Minnesota.
didn't have to be
Pretty much
Duke.
all wrestlers go to
I'm
Duke.
kidding. No, but I did love Julius in this match, and I agree. He's an awesome talent, and I think you mentioned when we were talking before the show about singles run. I think of the two, there's potential there. Although Brutus is the younger brother, right?
Yeah.
Of the two,
I think so.
Yeah,
and I don't.
Brutus is the younger one. Brutus to me's got like he's like if Otis was like a lot more like Otis was leaner and athletic, like he's got like brute strength, but he's got like a lot of athleticism for a big dude too.
I don't want to go overboard, but he's a little bit mini Brock to me, like
That
mini
was always
Lesnar athletically.
the comparison. He's a
Yeah,
baby Brock Lesnar. He's like
yeah.
a smaller version of baby Brock Lesnar. Parker
He's like what
Boudreaux.
Eric Bledsoe was to LeBron, right? When he was baby LeBron.
That's fair. He's not as athletic as Brock, but he's for a
Right.
guy his size, he's definitely athletic. I don't know, man. I see Julius a little bit as a young Brock. Personally, like they got the similar move set, being able to move, the athleticism. He's like leaner, and but Brock was kind of leaner back then too.
I see Julius a little bit like Cesaro, moveset wise and aggression and strength wise, where like he's stronger than even the build would lend you to think, because
Mhm.
he's got that kind of sinewy strength. He's got
Right.
like the long arms and like but I do hear where you're coming from for sure. We got a couple comments also here. Bobby Batito, hello guys. What's up, Bobby?
It's
Good to
good,
have
Bobby.
you again. And then I did enjoy watching NXT from Bobby. We did too, man. It was a fun show as usual.
I love my job, man. I love watching this and talking about it with y'all.
Absolutely. And then we got
Big Fern.
Big Fern with your what's up. Let's though talk about the Heritage Cup. The
Yes.
Drizzy, was it you that said it's the G1 of the
It is
G1
the
of NXT?
NXT. This is the NXT G1 Classic.
It is.
It's the NXT
It's their
G1.
way of getting away with it. It's way more condensed down. You only got 4 on each side, in opposed to like the 16 on each side. It,
I I
I think
like it. It's fun. I like the concept a lot, and I've always liked the Heritage Cup concept. Plus the idea of Noam Dar being able to just sit up there in that little suite for all of these matches is just going to be fun.
if the only way they could make it better is if they actually hooked up a commentator table up there, so he could
Yes,
interrupt Booker and the other guy during the matches.
it would be all time.
That'd be funny.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's the move, actually. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if when they get down to the end, having Meta 4, right? Is it Meta 4?
Mhm. Yep.
Commentate maybe the finals. Just themselves
That'd be
Yep.
would
fun.
be pretty funny. I don't know if that's a route that NXT would be willing to go. Shawn Michaels, HBK would be willing to go. But either way, this opening match, Butch versus Dempsey, was off the charts, and I can't keep calling him Butch. It's Pete Dunne. Let's be honest with ourselves here, guys.
Peter Dune.
Yeah,
Peter
it's
Dune.
Peter Dune, exactly. I'm gonna toss it to you first, shot. How did you like this one? I mean, Butch looked as strong as he has on NXT as in a long time, and considering main roster wise, he's basically been third wheel.
Yeah, let's this is NXT. Let's give him his real name when talking about him. This was Pete Dunne tonight.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne, he came and showed us why, this type of format, this environment is stuff that he's used to. And this is where we, grew to love him and became a fan of him. I thought these two had a great match. I thought it was very, just good all around. Both of these dudes are incredible workers. It being the format of how this tournament is with the point system and whatnot, you get done with the initial victory, but you still got an opportunity for Dempsey to redeem himself. But I thought it was a good um I think it was a good choice of letting Pete Dunne get the 2 points tonight. And I mean, like you mentioned, man, Noam Dar and the metaphor, just kind of ringing all of this together and playing off the commentary is entertainment. It adds a different, element to what is a kind of serious um, sense of pure wrestling within the tournament. And I mean, I don't know, man. It's got me thinking. I'm looking at all the blocks and seeing all the competitors in it. For someone like Pete Dunne, I think it'd be a good opportunity to kind of, jumpstart him back up. He's obviously been aligned on a main roster with the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus. But I think we've kind of got away from who he really is. And I think this is an opportunity to kind of, recharge him, get him back to the bruiserweight, and by the time he gets back on the main roster, whatever he does, he's ready to break limbs and show why he is one of these like he's really one of these ones, man. He's one of the more like deadly wrestlers on that roster. He gonna make you feel like you lost a thumb or two from your hands, a couple limbs. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a good opportunity. I like that they have a lot of these guys who are obviously from a different international standpoint to it, but aren't doing too much. Him. Hopefully my man Akira Tozawa wins it all. I hope he, eventually becomes the Okada of all of this, and
I
that'd be
love that.
fun.
I love that. I love that idea. Tozawa as a Okada. That's classic. Um, Drizzy, I'm gonna toss it over to you. Do you think Butch Pete Dunne, we've decided we're calling him this time, it has a chance to go to the finals and beat Noam Dar? Or is there someone else you see on either side of the pool that is going to be a bigger challenger to Noam as far as this Heritage Cup situation is concerned?
There is someone I do see that could potentially dethrone Butch, but like if you're just looking at the way everything is set up, you're naturally just gonna gravitate to Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey in the finals. And I really do believe that there isn't too many people. Maybe Duke Hudson could slow him down, but when you look at Block B, that's where your winner's probably gonna come out of. It's either gonna be Duke Hudson or Joe Coffey. The two in that on that side are bigger than most of the people in this entire thing, and they will bully their way if you give them a chance. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't room for somebody smaller to eke out a couple of wins because that's kind of what it's all about, getting the wins. If they beat up on each other more than Duke and Joe can get their hands on everybody else, I don't know. We might get something else. But I do believe that Joe Coffey will be the one to come out of this to face Noam Dar. And folks, I've taken over
You're
because
on mute. You're on mute, bro.
we have
Even
muted Clark.
better.
We
Even
have
better.
muted Clark.
Now I'm okay. I'm sorry. By the way, I'm laughing when I tossed the last segment to you. I needed to clear my throat so bad. I was like getting the last few words out, and I had to mute myself because I was like, "Please just
That's
go."
right, folks. It wasn't an accident. I did it. I got control of everything here.
He hacked his system, man.
I love it. I love it. Coffee, I think is a great pick, though. I really like the Joe Coffee pick. Like, Shad, is your official pick to Zawa?
Oh my god. Man, I'm gonna pick man, coffee. Look, we're gonna talk about him in a little bit too. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I'm not. I can't pick the same person as you.
It's all right.
I'm
It's
gonna
all
go
right.
with. I'm gonna go with Butch. I'm gonna go with Pete Dunne.
It's okay. Choose to be wrong. It's okay.
By the way, we've got
Yeah,
Bobby
man.
Petito is with you on that. Pete Dunne is a great wrestler, and he's rooting for Pete Dunne as well.
Bobby.
So
Yeah, Bobby.
it's a rock solid pick of who's available. I'm having a hard time deciding, but if I have to pick one, man, Pete Dunne would be so much fun. So would Coffee. I'm gonna go with a shock pick, and I'm actually gonna go Dempsey. I think Dempsey comes back
That's
from the initial loss.
that's not a bad pick. Honestly, there isn't any bad picks
I
in
was
throughout
thinking
all of these.
Frazier in that kind of light too, but we'll talk about
Yeah,
that later too. Like kind of a come if Sean is really trying to make this like some G1
yeah.
type of stuff, you
Like
know,
there's no bad picks. Honestly, everybody is legitimate. They're all gonna put on a good matchup against Noam should they win it. I don't think there's a bad pick in the entire bunch.
The weird thing was the like we'll just mention it briefly here. The Dragonov promo, right?
yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get right into that, which was immediately following, and that was with between Dragonov and Dar. Dragonov is not in the tournament, correct?
He is not.
So I mean,
He's trying to get back to that NXT title
championship
too. Yeah,
picture, and so that's where I'm like, I loved the promo, and I loved the we're not scared, we're not scared, we're not scared. He takes the jacket off. Whoa, 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 whoa! Put the jacket back on. That
right.
was that was classic. Drizzy, what do you think was the purpose here on Dragonov and Noam Dar back and forth?
The purpose is for 5 weeks, Noam Dar's supposed to sit back and do nothing. And it's like a mini filler episode. You know, in anime they have filler episodes. This is a filler feud. We got to do something with Noam Dar for the next 5 weeks, in opposed to having him sit on the little perch and talk about everything that's happening. We've got to give him some work, and at the same time, we can't just throw Ilya into the next title match just yet. So Ilya wants something to do. Noam kind of wants something to do. Why not put them together? It gives us a fresh matchup because I don't believe that's something that they've ever explored before. I want to say that whenever Noam was in NXT UK, Ilya wasn't there yet, and vice versa. So it's a fresh matchup we haven't seen in NXT. I believe it's a really good matchup that we can see, and it potentially gives us like a show of what happens if Noam Dar was in the main event. It gives us that what if factor because if he had a good showing against Ilya, who's to say here y'all can have the NXT Heritage Cup? I want the NXT title, and that's another number to put on Melo's belt if to of challengers to add to the list of challenges that already stand at his door ready to go.
I'm with you on that. Adding Dar to the main event picture for sure. My only concern is so we've got the Aura match set up, right? First. And that I'm assuming, like you said, mini feud makes perfect sense, right? Setting up for a showdown between Dar and Dragonov. But if Noam Dar takes the loss, doesn't that damage the Heritage Cup that we're having this tournament for? So Dar's kind of got to win that match. And that's my only fear with that situation is we're kind of booking ourselves in a corner here where Dragonov is your Dragonov is Dragonov, right? And so yes, he could probably afford to take a loss to Noam Dar, maybe with some shenanigans or of sorts, right? In order to elevate Dar, but it's a sticky situation either way. Shad, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually agree with your point on that. It's not an issue more so of the feud itself because I think both of these guys can make this turn into a good feud. It's just the placement and time of it. We have Noam Dar going through these next 5 weeks of having these wrestlers trying to get that Heritage Cup that he has, but in the sense you still want to keep him strong. So you put him in a feud with Dragonov. In theory, you would probably want him to win, but he's going against Dragonov, who's one of the top guys, one of the more elite people on your roster, and you don't want him to take a loss. I mean, you can kind of have some bit of a schnoz and where he cheats his way in the heel tactic to get it, but I don't know. It's an odd time for the feud in a sense. I mean, it is and it isn't because obviously we have him not in the feud with this entire tournament goes on, but you still kind of keep him on TV, on ringside, going throughout the entire blocks occurring. But I don't know. It's something that I can get with because I like the people in it. But I kind of agree with you. It's kind of a difficult thing to book because you don't really know who you want to come out as the victor in it because it can kind of harm each competitor in a sense.
Yeah, that's I think my only concern is you want to make sure you don't harm either one in the process there because I think they're two of the most over in the men's division on NXT period. I mean, obviously, Drizzy, you made a great point about the list of competitors for Mello. I mean, it's long. Wesley, we haven't even mentioned yet. Von Wagner and Braun Breaker. And let's get into that backstage. We talked pre-show about what is up with Von Wagner. What got into this guy?
He watched He watched that first episode.
He did, right? I mean, Drizzy, I'm gonna toss it to you, dude. What got into Von Wagner, man?
I don't believe I'm gonna say this. Back-to-back weeks, good promos. I don't know this man. I almost want to take his name away. Who is this man? Because that was a really good promo. And that was without Robert Stone talking. I do not know what they have done to eject new life into Von Wagner, but keep doing it. I've not been this interested in him since the first episode of NXT 2.0. And he's going against the I don't want to say he's the no, I mean ultimately he was the face of NXT 2.0 for 2 years. This is best case scenario. He's finally tapping into that big man personality. He's finally tapping into that. I feel like he's owning who he is now, and that's why it's working. I don't know what took so long to get there, but he's doing it, and please keep doing it.
I'm 100% with you. It's funny. I'm like he's the first non-masked mystery man in the history of wrestling because I'm with you. Like, who is this guy? It was a completely different Von Wagner than we've seen both of the last 2 weeks. Like, he's been what was advertised.
Mhm.
It felt like, right? I mean, it's interesting. Remember, we made a big deal about Von Wagner's a free agent in the draft this year.
We forgot about that. He's a free agent.
He was, yeah, like,
so he can be plucked out at any moment.
Which it is fascinating to me, and I think it's funny with the similarity in the t-shirts between him and Breaker. You both just have the block letters like best spear in the business, and then Table's shirt. Like, it's great for this rivalry in particular. Just the simplicity of it. It's old school, and I dig it because it. I don't know how much longer you even need to have Robert Stone with Von Wagner if this is going to be the future.
We don't want to jump off the deep end just yet. Now, yeah,
not already. But I'm
dip on your chip now.
That's
we don't want to get rid of just Robert Stone now. Yeah, he had 2 good weeks. Now we're not gonna. He's not cutting Seth Rollins promos.
It's a good point. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself there, but I mean, I don't know that Stone and him are the perfect. I don't know if it's not another manager that takes him to the main roster. Given that scenario down the road, I guess is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If he gets plucked almost by like MVPs, who is in my mind, but that doesn't make much sense. I'm thinking more like
he already got a giant.
I know that. That's not my point is somebody a little bit more right, like that really will speak for Vaughn at first and then let Vaughn speak for himself when necessary. More than right now, it feels like Vaughn is outshining Stone on the microphone for 2 straight weeks, which isn't necessarily Stone's fault. But I mean, last week he started the promo, right? In the ring, in the in-ring segment, and Vaughn outshined him. He took the mic away from him. This week was a little different because they were both backstage. It was a vignette, right? It was pre-taped, but still, it's it's an interesting dynamic. Shad, what do you think about that pairing for the future?
I think the pairing will eventually need to break up. I mean, I think it's a point where I I feel their combination has been so muddied with such weird storylines and just awkward booking where I feel it'd be best for both of them to kind of just move on from each other. Robert Stone to me is too much of a comedy act. He's more he doesn't have as much seriousness to his character. You have seen him prior upon years of just having more so, aligning himself with Frankie Monet before and Aaliyah, and it's just never had a serious um side to him. And I feel like Von Wagner is a person that should have more of a serious character. He is starting to speak more with, you know, anger and showing more of that giant within him, and he's kind of tapping into more of a side of his personality that is more real. And I feel that's been the benefit these last 2 weeks with him. And I feel like he's a person that has a lot of potential. I mean, he's a massive human being. He's not a horrible worker. And if you decide to put him on a main roster, I feel like the best way to do it is, like you said, having him have a talker that is a little bit more serious, that can kind of present him to be the giant that he is or whatnot, or if he is somebody's heavy or someone like that. But I feel it would be beneficial to kind of break him off after this, and then you have a good opportunity because I don't think he's gonna win the feud versus Braun Breaker. They obviously got Braun a little bit higher on the totem pole, being a former champion, and they look at him as a future superstar in the business. And you kind of give yourself a chance to break him off and kind of recollect. Him being a free agent, you may be able to just let him go to a Raw or SmackDown and kind of work from there, depending what they got for him. But yeah, I'd break him up.
I hear you for sure, and I've often thought about it though. When they released Frankie Monet, do you think the dog got released too, or is the dog just waiting and catering for its next big opportunity?
Oh, the dog's gonna come back. The
I
dog's
think
gonna
the
be back.
dog's in catering the
We're
whole
getting we're
time.
getting Cody's dog and that dog as a tag team.
Yes, yes, on the main roster, coming
Though,
at you, Sammy and Kevin for sure.
though,
For
I
sure.
wanna go back to something you just said about maybe another manager, maybe being a heavy, like what Shad was just saying.
Yeah,
Being maybe just stick with me for a sec. Maybe Grayson Waller needs a bodyguard.
I like that idea.
I really like
That
that
probably
too.
fits a lot better than trying to have a manager go with him.
That is very solid. I don't mind that at all.
I like that
Waller,
idea. I like that idea
Waller and Wagner too. That fits.
See?
because
Right?
Waller's a great talker, and he's gonna make it
Mhm.
Yeah,
work.
yeah. No,
Because it almost gets Floyd Mayweather as like you see Floyd Mayweather with all these bodyguards and everything,
Hmm.
yet
yeah,
he doesn't really need them because he's got the lethal hands.
yeah,
Yeah,
Waller, tremendous young wrestler coming up, don't necessarily need a bodyguard, but he's big time. Give him one.
yeah. Exactly.
got boxing shorts too.
Yep.
I like that he does wear the boxing trunks. Crack me up with Grayson for sure. Especially, also by the way, not to get too far off topic, but like, how funny are the fake comments on the scroll during the Waller effect? Like this week, it just gets me every time. Like
I love him.
You
whoever
got
takes the time to type those is funny. By the way, shout out. Like it, keep doing it because that is golden.
it's the
Yeah,
little things
the
that matter, and
production team, man.
that is the little things that matter. Please keep doing those things.
Yeah,
Yes. Absolutely. With that though, let's talk about tag team match. We had Lola Vice and Electra versus Dana Brooke
Ooh,
and Klein Jordan. Um, Drizzy,
ooh.
give me your thoughts on this one.
All right, hold on. Let me get some because I was a little there. Whew, that match hot. All right. Shout out to the Pack 'em Up game. We spent that was the one match that I watched with anybody. They told me about the match before I even seen the preview for the match. They love Kalani Jordan. They love Electra Lopez and Lola Vice. That's why they came for the show in general. They watched from beginning till that match because they wanted to see Elektra Lopez, Lola Vice, and Kalani Jordan. Elektra and Lola are a great team. The chemistry, second to none. If there were women tag titles right now, they need to have those belts. Kalani and Dana. I still love the storyline of Kalani's out there. She's giving the good old college try, but she's still coming up short. But she shows so much potential of being great. And Dana is trying to be the mom, but you kind of see her going a little crazy about it because she's tired of the losing. And it's just building up and building up and building up. And eventually she's going to snap and she's going to destroy Kalani. I hate when it's going to happen. We're probably all the guys are probably going to hold hands and kind of cry about it, but it's going to happen. I don't want to see it, but it's going to happen.
I hear you. I think so too. I really did enjoy this match, and I'm with you on the tag team. And I think we talk main roster maybe too often sometimes, or at least I do. But Lola and Elektra sooner than later, right?
Yes.
Like to inject some life into that tag team division. And we got a comment here from Bobby Petito. He's also a fan of Lola and Elektra. What did you think about this? Oh, sorry. This one shot.
I thought it was a solid match between all the competitors in it. I think you're able to put over a new team with a lot of potential and star power over within it, and then you continue the storyline that we're seeing with Dana Brooke and Kalani. In regards to Lola Vice, formerly known as Valerie Loretta, or her real name, from Bellator, and Elektra Lopez. I mean, that was a big signing for NXT. She's got such a massive following on social media from what she's done in Bellator, and obviously for who she is as a IG, being a beautiful young lady, and then you got Elektra Lopez in it as well. And I think aesthetically, like they have a very it has a lot of star power within it, like you can kind of make it like a Latina Heat kind of situation where it's gonna work on the main roster, like just off of name value, who she is with Valerie and or Lola, and how long Elektra Lopez has been in it. Like it's gonna definitely hit, and I think they're doing a good job kind of heating it up. And yeah, once they're ready, I would put them on that main roster and let them be or put them on the I guess they can find them on NXT because there's just one set of women's tags because they're consolidated. But give them an opportunity to that. We need more women's tag teams for them tag team titles, and I think you could work with them as being champs. In regards to the other team, I'm liking the slow burn within this feud. I think Dana Brooke eventually, becoming more of a heel type of character again and kind of just turning and breaking up Kalani. I'm excited for it. I think you're going to gain a lot from Kalani as becoming a very lovable baby face, and you're going to get a little bit more edge from Dana Brooke. So I'm liking the slow build to the storyline. I'm liking the fact that Lola and Elektra got over, and I think the match served a good purpose of it all.
Definitely, and I think Kalani definitely has a likability too. I think she in when the Dana Brooke turn happens, I hope that she's elevated as a potential baby face too, because I think she
Sure.
probably learned a lot during
Mhm.
this time too.
She's on that next wave of like women stars that once this first set gets pushed up, by the time
Yeah,
that happens, I think she'll be ready to kind of be in the picture in the singles division. Because in ring, I think she's remarkable. I think she's doing very well for a person that's pretty new to the business, and I think the potential can keep building and building. And I think she'll get more comfortable as a character throughout the time. This is a putting her with Dana is a good shout by them because you're letting her work with someone who's been on TV for a while to
She's
yeah,
gain
been on
experience.
TV. She's somebody who's been on the main roster. Somebody
hmm
who's been around for a while. It's a good vet to have with you.
Yeah, totally agree.
definitely. Let's move on though to the artist formerly known as Donovan Dijakovic or Dominic Dijakovic. I think he's had multiple Dom names
Daj,
at the
I
first.
think
Now
Daj,
just Dijak.
Yeah, Dijak is the WWE name.
Yes,
But I
now.
think Dijakovic is his actual name. I'm not sure.
Yes.
It's a lot of D's.
But I also think he's been both Donovan and maybe another Don type name as the first name billed as.
Yeah, I think so. It's yeah, it's a
It's a
lot.
complicated situation. He's also been T-Bar, but that's not the point. He wasn't T-Bar tonight. He was Dijak against Eddie Thorpe.
He was what's the movie with black and white with the red letters? It's like a comic. It's not Dick Tracy. What is it called?
You saw Sin
Uh
City?
yes, he's
Yes.
that. He is straight out of Sin City.
Yeah, that's what I got from his initial character and promos too. There's definitely some Sin City vibes.
He's here to serve his brand of hard justice.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Eddie dominate the early action and then Dijak got the win. You guys got any extra thoughts on this one? I thought this was kind of a bit of a step over match myself as far as tonight was concerned.
Uh,
uh
you want to go first, or
yeah, I go first. I mean, I feel like these two have been setting up a feud throughout it, so it's a good kind of payoff and a ending to it. I mean, they kind of initially start going right at it out the gate, like on outside of the ring. But I mean, it was a solid match. Eddie Thorpe is a person where I feel he is kind of just in the brinks of just kind of chilling there a little bit. You put him within feuds. You want to get him more reps, get the crowd in NXT world to kind of understand who he is. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to obviously come out of a feud beating Dijak, but with Dijak is I feel like I won't say concern, but I'm just wondering what the direction is with him because he's a person that should be within the title picture. And I think he is doing a good job within this position where you work with younger stars and whatnot. But what's kind of the end game towards it? Is this, to kind of build him up and eventually get him back on the main roster? Because, I mean, Dijak to me is one of the more talented, like, wrestlers just in general on that WWE roster. I kind of want to see what they're going to do with him. I know that there's direction with other people that went from the main roster onto NXT. With him, he's kind of in a little bit of a, I'm just going to keep going within these feuds, but I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's going to be, because I know he already fought Mello within it. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with him after this.
Definitely. And yeah, I think we've all been kind of scorched on Dijak a few times, right? So it makes me nervous every time he gets put in like a feud that doesn't make a ton of sense or does something goofy after Retribution. And like, I mean, right? Like, all I can think about is like Keith Lee and Dijak and what they were able to accomplish
Classic.
in those matches. Like how have we missed the boat on a guy that size with that athleticism and that amount of skill? I feel like a lot of that, at least for me too. I get nervous just anytime it feels like he's being scorned again, or he might be put in a position to not necessarily succeed. You know, what do
so
you think, Drizzy?
I think the issue is in the old NXT you had superstars that they may not have gotten over in NXT, but when you get to the main they fit the main roster mode. With the switching the way things are, Dijak fits the old NXT. So
Yeah,
right now he probably is great for the main roster, but for NXT 2.0 he doesn't quite fit in as much. They're trying to find something for him to hold on to, and it's just not working. Um, I mean, in the old NXT, it was enough to just go out there and be badass that can wrestle.
yeah,
That's basically what that feud was about. Like anything you can do, I can do better. This one, you kind of got to have something, whether it's gimmicky or not. You have to have something to be memorable by. And right now, the only thing we're remembering him as is having a Sin City font in his in his not trying in his nameplate.
yeah.
So I think that's the main reason why he's still in NXT is just to try and find something that we can repackage him to and bring him back up because the in ring has never been a problem. It's always been the character stuff.
I agree 100%. Yeah. And that's what makes me sad though, is like he's tried to do the character stuff. Like, of all of the people in Retribution, not just because of the name, but like he's the only one we remember. Yes, the mask was horrible, but like he tried compared to anyone else in that group.
And he had a solid story. If they would have just ran with Retribution and not the stupid names, we could have had Mia Yim, Mercedes Martinez, Shane Thorne, and
Mace,
his name
Mace.
was his name was
Nice.
something. He was, I forget what his name was
Oh wow,
before that.
that's actually I'll look it up right now. That's gonna bother me. Hang on one
Hold
second.
up,
And
I got it. I got it. Ah man, is it
because the backstory that T Bar gave fit, it made sense and everything.
D?
They
Is it Dio Madden?
Dio
Dio
Madden, yes,
Madden.
it was Dio Madden.
Dio Madden. That's what he was on
Like
commentary too, right?
they all had legit backstories from things that happened on NXT TV that could have carried over to the main roster. But now and I think that's another issue is we're still seeing T Bar when we see Dijak. It's
Yeah.
still T Bar to us. So we gotta
That
get
faction had so many good people on it, bro.
Ali.
it did. It did. And led by
Oh,
Yeah,
Ali, that should have been
Ali.
what catapulted Ali into the main event on the main roster.
hmm
But things happened the way they did. It fell apart, and we're out here trying to repackage.
yeah.
I will say when they destroyed the ring, it was pretty funny though. That was a
Oh,
little corny. When they
actually,
just came out and started like sawing the ropes to
I
change.
actually think that was that was kind of a great thing.
It was shocking, but just the way when it was like remember like the initial one, this was when they just had the NXT um kind of like the talent around the ring, right? This is before the Thunderdome and before they moved
Mhm.
into the bigger space. And I just remember there was like 15 members of
Yep.
Retribution at the time. And that's where it was like, okay, wait, how did it dwindle to 5? Like
Yeah,
when,
only
where
five of you
did the
getting
other 10 go? Like,
only five of you getting contracts. There's like 20 of y'all, but only five get to work.
yeah, it was like there was that one because I agreed with you, like it was good, but the funny part was just it was like, well, where did the other 10 go? Like they were only on the first mission and then they got cut from the group. It was, it was unfair. I want to know, and I want to know who were the other 10. I'm sure it was just random NXT talent. That's not the point, though. But let's move on to Group B, Heritage Cup. As mentioned earlier, Joe Coffey against Nathan Frazier and NXT UK. Basically classic here. Sean, I'm gonna toss it right to you. How'd you like this one?
Loved it, man. Match was incredible. Like it's one of those cases where two different styles work so well together. I was telling y'all when we were watching it, Nathan Frazier might be like my personal one of my favorite wrestlers in pro wrestling right now. I absolutely love that dude's move set, man. He moves at like 100 miles per hour. He's able to do all the high flying stuff. He's able to, you know, have a good sense of in ring psychology. He's able to do the kicks, everything. He's an incredible wrestler. But I mean, the big man gotta handle it at the end of the day. We saw Joe Coffey come out with the victory, and it, like you guys mentioned, it's one of these cases where this both blocks are so, you know, set with so many good wrestlers on it. You really don't know the direction of how this is because this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. There's you anything can happen throughout any time of it, and it has me curious to see, is Nathan Frazier going to be that underdog that takes this L, maybe takes you know another match where he doesn't get a whole 2 points and fights his way back and becomes the winner from block B. I could definitely see it because I feel that they have. I mean, he's the previous, you know, uh, person who has the trophy for the cup. So it may be that underdog story where I could see him potentially come back. Now I'm starting to feel like I want to change my winner, but but great match. I mean, Joe Coffey definitely needed to get a win too, and show what he does. So yeah, great match.
I really like the Coffee win too, and I love the discus clothesline finish. Shout
Yeah,
out
that
Brody
clothesline
Lee,
was
right? That was vicious. I
brutal.
love that. We got a comment here too from Bobby Batito with I've been a fan of Joe Coffey since watching him on NXT UK. I think we all are. Did you enjoy this one as well, Drizzy? And are
Uh,
you changing any picks as far as the Heritage Cup is going?
nah, Joe Coffey's got it for me. I'm a big Joe Coffey fan. He's hard hitting. He was one of when that first NXT UK takeover hit, it was Joe Coffey and Pete Dunne. And you see why it was Joe Coffey and Pete Dunne because Joe Coffey can go. He flat out can go. He kept up great with Nathan Frazier. The style clash was great. Every time Nathan went to the air, Coffey had an answer for it. Had a little bit of shenanigans, but I mean, you got to have your brother out there with you. But definitely riding the wave with Joe Coffey. Do not be surprised if you see them go again, and Frazier pulls off the upset though. Frazier wasn't too off from winning this one, so do not be surprised when it comes back around and Joe Coffey takes the L on it.
I like that call, and it'll be interesting because they each get one matchup in their own bracket, right? How is the format, or do they wrestle twice each?
I want to say they wrestle twice, and the winner of that block faces the
The
winner of the
next,
other block.
yeah, exactly.
So
Okay,
like you stay in your block and then you come
yeah,
out. The winners of that comes out.
'cause
It
that's
isn't like we see. I said G1 earlier, but we're thinking G1 stuffed in. But
are we
there's only
gonna?
like four people, so ultimately you're facing each other everybody two times. So
It's where I feel like we could end up with a tie in one of them, and that might be interesting.
It might be the case. They
Because
might,
of
they
the
might,
point.
they might pull every trick out the bag with this. They're gonna have a lot of fun with it, man. They're gonna definitely. There's a lot of like with tournaments and battle royales and stuff like that. There's so many stories you can tell through it and keep people involved. Like I feel like that's the essence of pro wrestling, where you're kind of tapping into other like sports and stuff, where it can do a lot of you know good service to them, where it keeps a lot of people active and utilizing your roster. And I mean, we're all fans of NCAA tournament, the playoffs,
Yeah.
all of that. We just like seeing what can happen.
Something about the bracket structure and even just discussing, like, wait, what's the exact format? How's it work? Like, just now, it makes it more fun. Like,
Yeah,
in and of itself, right? You don't even have to tell big stories necessarily because you know that they'll develop throughout the tournament based on just the nature of the outcomes, right? You're going to see an underdog who has a chance to get back in it. You're going to see, somebody who could potentially blow a big lead, right? Like those things are just going to happen. You know that that's going to happen. And I love that. We got another comment here. Hey, Dre. Hey, panel shout out. BYT bringing you the truth. Shout out. Love it. Let's talk about this main event. Speaking of Drizzy, and normally we play rock, paper, scissors, but I'm actually just going to give it straight to Drizzy because he went. I'm sorry, Shad. He went
I win.
full
I
wizard
win.
mode. He went full oracle. He stared into the crystal ball, into his magic 8 ball, and he picked this match.
I'm just gonna leave, man. I'm just messing
No,
with y'all.
no, don't do it. But Drizzy, how did you
It's all right,
know? Break it down for us.
ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to women's wrestling, I just know things. No, seriously, it was a matter of just looking at what's going on in the women's division. A very active women's division. There are storylines everywhere. This is what you want your women's division to look like. Main roster. I'm talking to you. Kiana James at the moment doesn't have any storylines going on. A up and comer, somebody who's been around for a little bit, absolutely stunning in the ring. She's come a long way from when we first started all this. So it only makes sense to have her come out on top. Roxanne, I really don't believe that Roxanne and Blair are done with each other. Gigi, they're still trying to find their way to make sure she's the next big thing because she's got a rocket strapped to her back. But you do have to take some losses somewhere. and it just makes it's 2 plus 2. It makes sense. Oh my god, that's her gimmick. Money, numbers, 2 plus 2. It all makes sense.
It adds up at the end of the day, to say the least.
It
Drizzy,
all adds up.
it all adds up. Shad, what do you think of the main event? And do you think there's any chance of Tiffany Stratton losing the belt next week? I mean, oh, don't do that to me. I was just trying to set you up.
Not Tiffy time over.
Not
Time is it?
Tiffy.
Time is it? Oh, it's Tiffy time. Nah, nah. All seriousness, man. NXT best booked women's division in North American soil. I say it before, I say it again. Shawn Michaels is able to put in position with a cast of women from different facets of life, whether it be from the indies, whether it be collegiate athletes, whether it be women who've been in WWE main roster, and blends it all together, and it comes out so beautiful. This main event was great, man. All four women did a phenomenal job. You saw high points from all of them within it. Everyone kind of had a moment to get some great offense in, and it just showed. It was a back and forth. Everyone was fighting to every inch to try to get that opportunity to get that chance to, you know, think they can dethrone the women's champ Tiffany Stratton. But I mean, going into the match, I guess I was mistaken. I thought this was going to be a match for No Mercy, so I initially picked Gigi just to kind of give myself a little bit of a, excuse. But I think it leads to a match next week with Kiana James. I'm not mad at the choice of her winning. She's definitely been in position with multiple feuds, and she showed that, one, in ring she's gotten a lot better. Two, she's able to build within the character, and I think putting her in a title match, I think this is her first ever NXT Women's title match, is good for her. But it's still Tiffy time. She's not losing this match on weekly TV. Not a chance. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with her to get that title match and Tiffany get another win on her great resume. And she got bigger fish to fry. Rebecca Quinn, what's up? What's up? What's up? Holla at
Oh,
Tiffany after Trish. That's I'm excited for that to happen. And also,
I love
I
it.
think I think we're gonna with Gigi Dolan, she'll get that opportunity to lose to Tiffany at No Mercy. So that's all.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, honestly, this is this women's division is so far and away the best, and the most impressive part to me. And you made a great point about Sean, the way it's been booked, and I agree with you on Tiffany Stratton's not losing this title. But like the amount of turnover on the NXT women's division compared to other companies
Hmm.
makes it even more difficult to book because you don't know who's coming in and out week in, week out. You never know. And it continues to land. And we've set up now a match for next week. We don't even know who the opponent is at No Mercy, but that's when it maybe could happen
Invested
with
into
Tiffany
it.
Stratton, right?
It's one thing, bro, and it's one thing that a lot of and this is the main roster who has probably the best women's wrestlers in the entire planet on their roster. It's time. Like, they just don't give any time to these women to do anything. Like, if you're talking about minutes, like, you saw how important that, like, last night with Zoe Stark and Becky Lynch in that main event. You gave them the time. You let them run the course and have that match, and you saw how great it was. This is a lot of the issues I have with Raw, SmackDown, AEW. They don't give the women a lot of time, and it's not fair to it because women's wrestling is awesome, man. It's incredible. Like, they, I'm more fan. My favorite wrestler in the entire world is Bianca Belair, and that is without a. I would rather see her wrestle than I would rather watch a lot of men wrestle. Like, you gotta let them. Hey, man, we're 2023, man. Equal counterparts. They could put on shows. They can have good matches. They can probably have a lot better storylines if you give them the opportunity to.
It's so true. It really is about the time. I'm with you on that. And and it's the proof is in the pudding, right? When the time is there, the product is amazing. We've
Yeah.
seen it, right? I mean, we go back
The
to the main event at WrestleMania 35, even, right? They given the time, the story was told. Becky Lynch and Ronda and Charlotte and Bianca and Sasha at
Sasha
Mania,
Banks.
right? In the
Yeah.
main event, like it's happened over and over and over again. When the time is given, it works. It's that simple. Anyway, Drizzy, I'm sorry. What were you saying before
I'm gonna disagree with y'all on the NXT is great. Their women's division is great, but we don't talk about the best women's division in wrestling. We don't. We never do
Which
because
one?
it's attached to a company that should be dead. Impact Wrestling.
Ah,
We're getting ready to go off the
We,
subject.
we
We're getting
let
ready to
we
go off the.
you
We're
know
getting ready to go
what?
off the rails for a
Chaos,
minute.
chaos. Let me and Drizzy take it to the table for that, man.
that's a good one.
We're
That's a
gonna
good
go off
one.
the rails on that one because I've been saying it for years. Impact Wrestling would be dead without that Knockouts division.
That's very true.
It's
I
true.
that I agree with. I don't know that it's necessarily better though than them.
It's between both of them, and
It's close.
respectfully though, I'm not gonna even get mad at you on saying that because it Impact does incredible things. They have like, come on, man. You see how big of a star they built with Deanna Peraza, how Jordan Grace is like within this last like year or two. Even going prior to that. So I'm not gonna, say you're wrong, even though I think you're wrong. But nah, but I think both of them like, and it's crazy because to think about it, you think about the amount of stars and TV time that you give that AEW or Raw and SmackDown has, and just how minimum it is compared to these two. With NXT has a bunch of girls who are like,
Who are just learning.
yeah,
Some are
they
just learning.
Yeah.
Some have been
in the
passed over for
indies.
years.
Although, did you just say that you were going to say that you think he's wrong without saying that you that you think
I'm
Drizzy's
being,
wrong?
I think I'm wrong.
That was
We can
slick, Shad. I
being,
gotta
being,
we
I'm
can
being
gonna write
polite.
that down. That is a trick. That was slick for sure. We got a comment here too from Sammy Silva. 4 hearts back. Sammy, absolutely. Thank you. This has been a blast of a show, guys. I mean, honestly, I'm stoked for next week. We got No Mercy at the end of the month, correct?
We got some matches next week too.
Yeah, next week was
Yeah.
loaded. That was the most interesting thing to me. Is it felt like the first hour of today's show, um, was a lot building for next week, right? A lot of matches
Mhm.
built to next week.
Yeah,
In the
for sure.
second hour, we got a lot more wrestling and just natural vignettes in general, but really a good 2 hour show top to bottom. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yes.
For sure, for sure.
We got a women's title match. Do we have a tag title match?
Nah,
Yes.
we don't.
No, no tag title.
No, we
Not
got
tag
we
title,
got we
but
got Braun and Wagner.
we
We
got
Yeah,
got
Von and
Braun.
Braun.
Mensa and Dragonov. That's gonna be a good one.
Yep. Yeah, so we had 3 matches booked there, and then we should have 2 more Heritage Cups
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
as
next
well.
man, we're gonna see Akira Tozawa next week.
Tozawa next week. That'll be a fun one. And
He gonna remind y'all, man. People really think he's just a joke. People forget Tozawa is nice
no, he's no
at
joke.
this wrestling thing, man.
When you let Tozawa go, he can work stiff too. Those kicks are
so
like lightning.
that's before we ended. That is a beautiful thing about this global tournament. I love when they do things that revolve the world
Yeah,
because you get to see all the different styles. You get to see the lucha libre style. You see the British strong style, the Japanese strong style. You
the
get all
lucha,
these different
lucha.
things, like whatever we call American style. I guess it's a hybrid style, maybe.
Yeah,
Uh,
catch as catch can.
yeah, there we go. You get things like that. This next week, we're definitely gonna get one of that because I'm pretty sure we're getting Axiom and whoever the fourth person is in that block. That's gonna be a fly flyer.
I love that. Absolutely. Okay, by the way, before we do go, I have to say something really funny. The only reason I know the catch as catch can thing is because when I was a little kid watching Shawn Michaels, I loved Shawn. And JR used to always talk about when he was managed by Jose Lothario when
Oh,
he
that's
during the
throwback.
yeah, yeah. he used to always say catch as catch can, but because Sean was from Texas, remember at the Rumble he wore the cowboy hat? I, as a little kid, thought it was Texas catch can. And like I'll never forget my mom being like, Clark, no. Catch as catch can. Don't say that. So, anyway.
Giving Texas everything, aren't you?
Yeah.
You got their own style of
it
wrestling.
made sense. I'm like, the guy's in a cowboy hat, catches catch can. I'm like, you're a little kid. I just messed it up. It was funny. But either way, not the point. With that though, been an awesome show, guys. Let's head out. We'll see you guys next week. On behalf of Dryzzy, Shad, Wrestling Republic. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. Check out Dryzzy on Twitter all the time for us, putting in the work, the daily broadcast. If you haven't, take it to the table. All of the shows on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel and Spotify and everywhere else. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. And girls, everybody, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much and have a good one.